4, we're going to graph the parent sine function. So in your book, you're going to see it's going to say y equals sine of x. And just like all the other functions you've learned, there's always a parent function. Okay, so I want to review a few things with you. So when we do an angle, so let's look at one of these. So look at your unit circle. Let's do pi over 3. They all consist of an x and a y. What we're going to be graphing are going to be the y's. And remember, so let's look up here. So pi over 3, it's the x value is 1/2 and the y value is the square root of 3 over 2. And remember, the x value is always the cosine of theta. Here they use x, it could be theta also, you'll see it differently in different books. And the y coordinate is always going to be the sine. So since we're going to graph our sine function in this video, I want you to always look at the y values. You should always also have your calculator handy because we're going to do, we're going to change some of the square roots into decimal equivalents. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to move this over here. So look at your unit circle. We're going to start here at 0, right? So looking at the y coordinate here, it's 0 is 0. So just put a little dot there. So now we're at pi over 6. So pi over 6, the y coordinate is 1/2. So pi over 6, the y coordinate is 1/2. So I'm going to put a little dot right there. At pi over 4, the y coordinate is rad 2 over 2. So grab your calculator. Okay. You're going to put square root of 2 divided by 2. Oops. There you go. And it comes out to be 0.71. So we're going to put that, pi over 4, 0.71. We have 3/4 here, so that's 0.75, so pretty close to that. We'll put it right here. Okay, so pi over 3 now is square root of 3 divided by 2. Okay, let's do that. Second, square root of 3 divided by 2. And that will come out to be 0.87. So again, getting closer here, move it up, getting closer to 1, right? 0.87, probably about right here. So now we're at pi over 2. So pi over 2, again, looking at it, the y coordinate is 1. I'm right here at 1. Okay, so it should make a nice little curve here to move that one a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to come back around. Now remember, these are still the positive values. The y's are still positives. So 2 pi over 3 is going to be the same thing as pi over 3 here, 0.87. So let's put that up here. 3 pi over 2 is going to be the same here as pi over 4, 0.71. Let's put that up here. All right. 5 pi over 6, we're right here. The y coordinate is 1/2. Okay. And now we're down here to pi. And the y coordinate of pi is going to be 0. Okay. So now we're going to keep going around. And it's going to be the same values, if you remember, for the y's, but they're going to be the negatives now, right? So negative 7 pi over 6 is going to be negative 1/2. Okay, so now we're going to come back down here. Okay, next one's going to be negative 7.1. Let's put that like right here. Negative 0.87. Let's put it like right here. Let's get that nice and smooth. And then 3 pi over 2 is going to be at negative 1. So again, looking at your unit circle, 3 pi over 2 is right here at negative 1. And then we're going to keep going around here. Okay, right here, 5 pi over 3, look at your unit circle, 5 pi over 3, negative square root of 3 over 2, which is negative 0.87. Look around here. Right, and then we're going to match it to make a nice little round curve. 11 pi over 6, right here, it's going to be negative 1/2. And then we come back full circle to 2 pi, and the y value is going to be 0. Okay, let me get some of these erase marks here. Okay, so now we're going to sketch our curve. It's going to be nice and smooth. So let's go back here to 0. Sketch it up here. You're going to keep the peak up here. The maximum is still going to be a curve. Okay. Nice clean lines here. Comes back down here. Oops. Okay, and then it's going to keep going. So now let's move on to the other side here. Okay, let me put a piece of tape there. Paper's moving. All right, so now the negative sides. So when we're going with the negative, we're going backwards, right? So when we're going backwards for the negatives, pi over 6 is going to be the same for negative as negative 11 pi over 6, which is going to be negative 1/2. So now we go here, negative 1/2. Okay, pi over 4 is going to be negative 0.71. Negative pi over 3 is going to be negative 0.87. That's right here. And then negative pi over 2 is going to be 1. Okay, you can start to see this nice smooth little curve here. Okay, we're going to come back around. So negative 2 pi over 3, negative 5 pi over 6, and then negative pi again, the y value is going to be 0. All right, now we're going to come right back up. 7 pi is going to be 1/2. Negative 5 pi over 4. We negative 0, or sorry, positive, because we're now back in the positive. 7/1. (0.71), where am I? Okay, negative 4 over 3 is going to be negative 0.87, or positive, sorry, 87. Negative 3 pi over 2 is going to be 1. And come right back around. I have my work here shown. I'll just draw through it. Okay, so let's sketch it here, okay? Got my dots there. Nice smooth curve. Going up. Okay, there we go. Now I want to put arrows here. We could continue. Sometimes you're going to have to do problems that go beyond 2 pi, so you'll have to graph that. All right, our next video is going to be on the cosine parent function, so make sure you take a moment and you make yourself another graph.